Hi everybody, I want to talk to you about a video that I just saw, a very powerful video from Tom MacDonald. It's entitled The Biggest Music Industry Screw Job Ever. And this video on the surface may seem contrived, but it's not. It's actually a very important video. And I'm going to break down to you why it's so important and why it's not just about the music industry, but also about news media, about the movie industry, and other things in our society as we're transitioning from a mass society to a network society. So I'm going to talk to you about this because I think, again, it's extremely important to talk about this. And to me, one of the reasons why I like Tom MacDonald so much, not only is he a fantastic artist, not only does he have a lot of popularity and he speaks the truth where many people can't speak those truths without being canceled. Tom says things and says them in a way that gets a political message out to people, or even a common sense message out to people, which wouldn't normally go to those people because he's speaking to people who don't watch CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or go through the conservative news sites like I go through on a daily basis. No, they're just living their lives, but they like good music. But the messaging coming from these songs are telling and conveying a certain perspective that they aren't getting in the mainstream media. And so I'm going to talk to you about the mass media of where we were 5 years ago, where we're not anymore because we're now into what we call a network media. And so, but getting back to Tom, before I get into that part of it, I want to just say how much I appreciate his music and how I appreciate how much he's able to do with what he has, because he is the independent artist. And that's key here because independent artist is what a network society is based on. You see, in this particular video, he talks to you about what's going on with him trying to get his latest album called The Brave out into the album charts, which are charted by Billboard. Problem is, Billboard doesn't collect data. They use a third-party partner, which collects that data, which has to basically go out and say, okay, this is what you sold. This is how we can quantify this. And we will publish those numbers based on what they can verify. The problem is that they do not want to work with Tom or Nova or any of their crew, which is basically just them, in getting those numbers of the physical sales of what they've done for the past 4 years. They are ignoring all of it. He goes through all of this. I don't want to cover that. But the important thing is this, is two things to me. One, is it because Tom MacDonald is giving a message of him being a conservative type message or a common sense message, which is resonating across the country or the world? Or is it because of the industry that he's actually dealing with, these big record labels? Which is it? Personally, I think it's both. But in fairness to the company that's collecting the data that's supposed to be giving it to Billboard, I would say it's probably going to be the latter, simply because there is no incentive for them to report on independent content creators who are doing big numbers like Tom MacDonald is doing. He's doing fantastically, and they just don't believe him. And so as the record got closer to release, I think what happened was they found out, oh, not only is he an independent artist, but he's also an artist that happens to be putting out common sense messaging, right? So that's what I think is happening. So in the video, you see the frustration, and I was really seriously heartbroken because of the things he mentioned about Nova and the frustration that they're going through, because he wants to put a wrecking ball to the music industry to prove that independent artists can be successful and compete with the big boys. Every single song Tom MacDonald does is #1 on iTunes. This particular song here, which is, by the way, it's called "In Gotta Be Trust," is absolutely fantastic. I have to do another video on that. I did a reaction to that video, which you should check out below, of how good this song is, but it's more than just that. It's actually, to me, it's an anthem for disenfranchised conservatives and people with common sense who feel like they're being ridiculed or just trying to live their lives and be left alone from government intervention. That's what the song's all about. It's a great, fantastic song. Please check it out and go buy it. Go buy it. But getting back to Tom MacDonald and what he's trying to do, I think this is just a key reflection of what's happening across the board. And when we look at what we call mass network, I mentioned it before in this channel. What that is it's a paradigm where media or whatever entity that is centered around your physical proximity to that location, whether you be in a densely populated area like New York or a densely populated area like San Francisco or LA or DC, those population centers are where all of your mass market media came from. All of your New York Times, Washington Post, your CNNs, all these people have these various New York bureaus, Seattle bureaus, Atlanta bureau. All these things are basically there because they're in highly populated areas, and those areas allow people to be physically close to those areas to actually have it as be an influence. However, now, when you see we're moving to a network society, which is mainly on the internet, has nothing to do with your proximity physically, it has to do with your ability to get online. And so now we're seeing news footage not coming from CNN, who's going to be on the ground taking pictures on their cameras. It's actually coming from images from people's cell phones. And that's what's actually changing the whole landscape now. And so that's why I support people like Tom MacDonald, because this whole paradigm change is coming and the record labels can't stop it. It started with Napster, and now it's going to a more legitimate form of people putting their goods and their services off of the mainstream, let's say, platform of big tech or big media or big music industry, and putting it out there into the hands of the people who want to buy it directly. And so what Tom MacDonald does is he actually packs and ships the stuff himself, and it goes from his hands to your hands or our hands. And that's what the company that was trying to distribute the information to give to Billboard didn't understand, and that's where the whole confusion comes from. But in this process, and why this video is on the conservative take, is just to point out this is a clear example of how independent content creators, and in his case, independent music creators, can change the landscape and make it more accessible for everybody and make things more free, especially now since we're being censored and everything else like that. So with that, if you like what we're doing in this channel, we take pop culture and politics and filter to you in a conservative manner, and please check out some more content that we have for you right here.